It's like somebody is jangling the keys. They're pointing to all of these issues and saying, well, you should be mad at people who are trans, you should be mad at people who are immigrants, you should be mad at, Mexican governors or whatever. And meanwhile, over here, they're robbing the bank. So they're distracting us and getting us to fight each other. But, our country is being strip mined.
As we've reported, the only serious challenger to President Biden's bid for renomination has come from outside the party system. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has for months been making his case to voters that there is an alternative to the president. Centerpoint contributor and former U.S. Senator and Ambassador Scott Brown has been holding backyard barbecues in New Hampshire with different candidates, and he recently spoke with Mr. Kennedy.
Hello everyone, I'm Scott Brown, obviously working for Trinity Broadcast Network and Centerpoint. And we're here with a very special guest, RFK Jr., Robert Kennedy Jr.
Thank you so much for this wonderful, I think we had 1,000 people here tonight. It was an extraordinary group of people. You have a lot of great friends up here in New Hampshire and Massachusetts that came up. But one of the things that I said in my announcement speech, that if I'm successful in this campaign, I will have made a lot of Americans, Republicans and Democrats, forget that they're Republican or Democrat and just remember that they're American. I'm trying to identify the values that we all hold in common, and instead of focusing on the issues that keep us apart, and we're having a tremendous success doing that. People are hungry for change. They're tired of the bickering, the anger politics, the polarization that is really eroding our country. And, like I said to the group tonight, I said, it's like somebody is jangling the keys. They're pointing to all of these issues and saying, well, you should be mad at people who are trans, you should be mad at people who are immigrants, you should be mad at, Mexican governors or whatever. And meanwhile, over here, they're robbing the bank. So they're distracting us and getting us to fight each other. But, our country is being strip mined. Our middle class, the working poor of this country, is being strip mined of its wealth and equity by this corrupt collusion of corporate and government power.
What is the plan? I mean, they're trying to make sure that you don't get on the ballots in many places, that if you do win, which you will in New Hampshire because Biden's not here, your delegates won't count.
You were talking about Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan, and you took my Uncle Ted's seat after he got sick.
The people's seat, sir.
The people's seat.
Thank you very, very much. Wow, what a great reception. What a great crowd. And I bet they can hear this cheering all the way in Washington, D.C.
But he occupied it for 50 years. And during that time, he put his name on more pieces of legislation than any senator in history. And he was able to do that because he worked across the aisle, because he had these tremendous friendships. He would come home to Hyannisport, to the family of Democrats, and he'd bring Orrin Hatch with them, or he'd bring Harry Burr or John Kasich. And to me, those guys were like Darth Vader, because I was working on environmental issues, and they were always on the side of the big polluters. And I would say to Teddy, why? What are you doing? And he just loved them. He would take them out sailing, and they'd write songs for each other. They'd write poetry. It was really these very touching relationships with people that he differed with on every issue. But they found ways to collaborate. And, Orrin Hatch became a great champion because of Teddy, of people with HIV. And he was able to succeed. He didn't compromise his values, but he found ways to work with people with whom he didn't agree and to like them personally. And, that's an experience that I have too. I try not to see people in a tribal role. And, we're all human beings, as you pointed out downstairs. We all want to take care of our veterans. We all want to take care of our children. We all want to protect the environment. We all want a robust economy. We all want an America that has moral authority and influence around the globe, good influence, and we want peace. And if we focus on how do we get to those things, rather than fighting about the little stuff, I think we can achieve really great things as a nation. And what we're trying to do is to negotiate with the party right now to make sure that we can have a fair election, but the way that it is rigged at the moment, I would have to win probably 70% or 80% of the vote in order to win the nomination. And if they won't give me like a fair shot at it, then I have to look at other options.
How does the family feel about what you're doing? I know some of them are 100% behind you. Some of them are saying, oh my God, he's this, he's that.
4th of July weekend this year, there were 105 Kennedys in Hyannisport. So obviously we don't all agree on anything. I don't know any family in this country where everybody agrees. And I don't need to insist that they agree with me. I got 5 members of my family who are working for President Biden and the administration. President Biden has a bust of my father behind him at the Oval Office.
I know.
So it's pretty natural that a lot of my family has loyalty to the president.
Well, here's the last question. If people want to help, want to donate, volunteer, how do they get in touch with you?
They should go to Kennedy24.com, and thank you for asking that question, son. And thanks for this incredible event.
It was really special.
It was really good hanging out with you.
Yeah,
Gail.
let's do it again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
And Scott Brown joins us now. Senator, welcome back to the show. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
Okay, so you've been bringing us these for months, but I feel like RFK Jr. is quite different because he's the only person for the Democratic Party on the ballot right now. So who showed up at your barbecue? Was it Democrats? Was it independents, Republicans? Who was there?
Well, I think you would need to say who did not show up. I've never seen anything like it. The line, about 5:30, I'm like, where is everybody? There's like 150 people there. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I hope people are going to show up. And then I went out around 5:45, and there was a line down the street for about a mile on both sides. The parking lot was filled up, and obviously they take it very seriously, the security concerns. They made sure that they identified and wanded, for security purposes, everybody who came in. But once they came in, they had a count of 12 to 1,300. I said to the police chief, how many we got? He says, we got close to 2,000. And so obviously it was raining, so we had big 20 by 40 tents out front, tents out back, people inside. And I'll tell you what, they were not just Democrats or Republicans. There were many, many independents, people of all ages, all beliefs. It was really a very interesting an eclectic group of people who had some very serious questions for the candidate.
You talked about this in your interview with RFK Jr., but it seems like the Democratic Party is trying to keep him at arm's length right now. We're seeing that from the DNC as well. Do you think it would actually help him to run as a third-party candidate?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, listen, I'll go on record right now. I think there's no doubt that he's going to run as an independent because the way that the Democratic Party is treating him, not only have they endorsed President Biden, which is against their bylaws, they're now saying that, we're not even going to hold primaries in any of these states because he's our candidate and, there's no one else seriously running. It's a waste of time, effort, and money, which is, once again, against their bylaws and absolutely not true. And so they're doing to RFK Jr. what they did to Bernie Sanders, almost on steroids, though, because RFK is a real threat, I believe, in that he's bringing in Democrats, Republicans, independents, and disenfranchised voters. And for the party of the Democrats, who are the party to let everybody vote and make sure that every vote is counted, the fact that they're doing this completely contrary to their charter and their bylaws and keeping off, let's be respectful, Kennedy off the ballot is like astounding to me. So yeah, I think he's going to run as an independent.
You mentioned the security concerns. Obviously, we've seen him have several threats, but this comes after this weekend when we just saw that a man at one of his campaign events actually had a loaded gun. And that man has been arrested, but his private security team is the one who found the man. And as you know, RFK Jr. has actually asked the Biden administration for Secret Service protection, which was denied to him several months ago. And I will note, usually you don't receive Secret Service protection until a year out from the election, unless there are extraordinary circumstances. But I mean, considering that RFK Jr.'s uncle and father were both assassinated, do you think that this is an extraordinary circumstance?
Absolutely. I think it's negligent, and God forbid something happens to him, then it's on this administration. Yeah, listen, he should absolutely get a detail. I saw the security people. my event, okay? I was running everything, and I had to limit my access and do things quite a bit differently. And they were sharp as a tack. Quite frankly, I've only seen it for the presidents that I met, the type of security that they have. But yes, evidenced by what you saw in California and other incidences that you don't hear about, yeah, he should have the Secret Service protection. But he's doing it on his own, and I've been reading some comments, oh, he should do it on his own. Why? Why? I mean, Bernie Sanders had it. Obama had it. I mean, everybody gets it who's a player. And listen, he's a player. And not only that, you pointed out correctly the history with his family. And I'll say this publicly again, God forbid something happens and it's on this administration that just because of political purposes they didn't do the right thing.
Well, hopefully this incident will make them wake up and reconsider his request. Senator Brown, always good to see you. Thank you for bringing us these exclusive interviews. We appreciate them.